Proof of God from a rational and logical perspective. That may seem like a paradoxical statement to a lot of people. If so, you may be surprised by this video. The mainstream scientific view of creation is that 13.7 billion years ago, a singularity simply sprang into existence, which then led to a Big Bang, which created everything we know today. The problem is that prior to the Big Bang and the supposed singularity, there was nothing. Something cannot come from nothing. It is impossible. If nothing existed, then nothing can come from it because nothing exists. It is therefore irrational and illogical to suggest that something just came into existence from nothing. It is also irrational and illogical to suggest that a Big Bang or explosion could create everything we see around us today. Such chaos cannot create such beautiful symmetry. Then, the leading theory of mainstream science tells us that 3.9 billion years ago, life began from a primordial soup, where microbes simply came to life, which eventually evolved into all the life we know today. The problem with this is that scientists cannot create life in a laboratory from scratch. If we cannot deliberately create life, then it is irrational and illogical to assume that it began by chance. Scientists cannot create a camera which is as good as the human eye. If we cannot deliberately create such intricacy, then it is irrational and illogical to suggest that something so complex began by chance. As Sherlock Holmes said, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And if our universe wasn't created by accident, then it must have been created deliberately, purposefully, by an intelligent designer. When I say the word God, I do not attach any religious beliefs to it. I am simply referring to the spiritual entity which created the physical world by means which us humans are incapable of even beginning to comprehend. But most people will ask at this point, who created God? A perfectly reasonable question. But you must understand that God is spiritual, and if you are capable of comprehending a spiritual world, then you must realize that time does not exist there. Time began with the creation of the physical world. So if time does not exist in the spiritual realm, there was no beginning, and there will be no end. God, or spirit if you prefer, is eternal. In my opinion, this is the only way to begin to explain the creation of our physical world. But to relate this to a present-day scenario, if I was to show you a painting, you would tell me that it is proof of a painter. If I was to show you a teacup or some other form of pottery, you would tell me that it is proof of a potter. Just like if I were to show you a building, you would tell me that it is proof of a builder. So the fact that this world has been created is proof of our creator. The only difference is that we cannot comprehend how it was created. It is therefore rational and logical to believe in a creator God. And since humans are not gods, then this explains why we cannot create life in a laboratory, and why we cannot create anything close to the complexity of a human eye. And finally, if this world has been created purposefully, then everything in it has a purpose, including you.
And silence is taxing. I'm waiting for something. There's images of love and war, and everything's here to explore. It's all unlike our usual, a different